It's very exciting looking at Mike's presentation because it corresponds in many ways. One of them, of course, is the Maldek, which we've been told was a planet which we actually been told that we inhabited and we destroyed, and that's one of the problems of our civilization, is having done that. The part that I'm going to give is the information that has come from higher sources. Mike talked a lot about hyperdimensional energy. Well, think of it as hyperdimensional people, beings who moved on from this plane, this classroom, to further, more advanced classrooms. And there are spiritual elders. They're more evolved, both spiritually and technologically. And their basic theory that they're telling us that the universe follows is very similar to many of the religious traditions on Earth. And that is, everything is alive. A blade of grass, a person, a dog, a planet, a solar system, a galaxy. These are all living entities. They aren't just hunks of rock or inanimate objects, but they have mind. They have feeling. They have consciousness. And as all these parts of the Absolute, or this one being which has created everything, as each of these parts of this being is evolving, we are all evolving back to a more conscious knowledge of this oneness that we are all part of. And the aspect that pushes everything back in the right direction, if you will, is the law of karma. Dr. King called it as pressure. Karma is pressure. Think of karma as this great pressure which takes all the sparks of the Absolute and keeps them going back to this one source, this one conscious awareness of the Absolute. We would say that all the planets are inhabited, but of much more evolved beings. So it doesn't have to be inhabited by human beings. Because if you are living on the hyperdimensional space or the greater vibration, quicker vibration, then you don't have to live in a baryonic body, as we talked about earlier. You can live in different forms. It's hard to understand from our perspective if these are wonderful spiritual brothers who are ahead of us, spiritually and technologically, why aren't they helping us? I mean, you think about, from our point of view, if we were like driving around in the USS Enterprise and we saw a planet that was having trouble, we would want to help them. Well, they are. They're helping as much as they can. But the reason why they don't help us more in the ways that we would expect them to help is that the law of karma. You remember, we're all evolving back to this one source. We're all learning that to be selfless, to be loving, to be compassionate. And this takes lessons. We don't just get it like that. These problems that we have are our lessons. One way that they help is they give us the laws. We're told that all the advanced masters on earth, Lord Buddha, Master Jesus, the one who wrote I Ching, Patanjali, Lao Tse, all these great beings were from other worlds. They were our spiritual elders from other worlds that came into an earth body to teach us. Now we start to get into the current day and why this is happening now. And as Mike suggested with his physics, things are definitely afoot, shall we say. It's time for a major transition on Earth. And of course, the more evolved beings knew this. And they realized that the information, the spiritual information given 2,000 years ago was getting a little bit out of date. Because 2,000 years ago, we didn't believe in other galaxies. We thought we were the center of the universe. It wasn't other galaxies until like the 20s or 30s. So it was time for a bit of a religion 2.0, I suppose you could call it. Spirituality 2.0. Well, one of the people they chose, they didn't choose just Dr. King. One of the channels that they chose was Dr. King. And he founded an organization called the Aetherius Society. And it's founded on three main pillars. One is wisdom. You need to understand why we are here, what's going on, karma. Everything is an aspect of God. You need to understand these basic truths. You need to develop yourself spiritually. You need to be able to access the power of love. This energy source from other dimensions. You need to access this to help others with it. And then ideally, you combine the wisdom with your own spiritual development, and you perform global healing and local healing. You give a spiritual healing. You do prayers. Also, because of the time crunch, the transition is coming. You can't stop this transition. And we'll get into the Aetherius Society take on that in a minute, but it's coming. It's on the train. It's coming this direction. You can't hold it up. And I think you can imagine, if you look at all the people around the world, a lot of people have a long ways to go. Let's face it, we still have multiple wars. We're still got this ridiculous materialistic society, which is very selfish-oriented. It's a lot of problems, and we all agree with that, I think. And so one thing that Dr. King has also been doing is kind of increasing the potency of service. There's certain ways in which you can compress prayer, for example, and send it out very quickly. And remember how the basic premise is everything is alive. Everything is a spark of God. Everything is sentient. But it's not just sentient, it's intelligent. In fact, believe it or not, and it's hard for humans to think this, but most things beyond Earth are more intelligent. Thank goodness for that. And most of the evolved beings who live on other planets are much more spiritually evolved and technologically evolved than we are. The Earth, a planet as beautiful as the Earth, how can you look at that and say it's just a hunk of rock without any feeling or any sentience? It's a living being, much, much more evolved than mankind, much more important than mankind as a whole, let alone any individual person. This is a being, a great goddess that thinks and feels and has tremendous love and compassion. And just like us, she is also evolving back to God. She's got this pressure of karma pushing her in this direction back to a greater awareness of her oneness with God. Another thing that they gave to us was what they call the new yoga for the Aquarian age. And this is performing the 12 blessings, which is a certain ritual where you give back energy to beings like the Mother Earth. You give a great thanks to the Mother Earth, the mighty Sun, these kinds of beings, as well as send energy to mankind, which of course desperately needs it. And you perform these 12 blessings on a holy mountain, a mountain which has been charged with energy especially accessible to mankind. And the reason why they're doing this now is because they realize now is when we need to do it. We need to perform these practices now.